But when I wrote Interstate, it was kind of all over the place. Brendan was really the guy who, arrangement-wise, put that kind of together cohesively.
Let's talk about Interstate. Me being from Atlanta, well, I'm from Rochester, but I've been living in Atlanta for 29 years this year.
Yeah.
And you guys did a lot of work at Southern Tracks in Atlanta, which no longer exists. You know, it got bulldozed.
I got the pictures of it being torn down.
Yeah.
And there were many, many great memories there. And Mike Clark.
Mike Clark, yep.
I love Mike. Mike was
passed,
amazing.
oh geez, now probably 15 years ago now, something like that.
Wonderful man.
Yeah.
Wonderful man.
That is a workout, that bass part, right? It's kind of like a Motown bass part almost.
Definitely. Most, yeah.
You were probably influenced by Motown, right?
That was the
I always thought that about your bass lines, because you have a lot of the James Jamerson kind of moves and things like that, bouncing around, really active.
Yeah.
Now this song goes through so many different changes. You've heard it on the radio a billion times, and it's easy to take it for granted because it just sounds so normal, but it's not. It's a very sophisticated song. Let's talk about the chords in the verse, okay?
Sure.
Because we talked about this before, and just so that we can teach people how to play the right chord voicings.
Yeah. Well, it started out on a nylon like this.
Okay.
And it was literally just started out as a bossa nova.
You're channeling your Jobim.
Yeah, so. Yeah, that's how it started out. And just. But I knew I couldn't do that bass line to that.
Right.
So just put it into that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, that allowed me to do that.
Did the riff at the beginning come later, or was that just always part of the song?
No, it was always the part, and that's the part that kind of made it transition into that kind of groove.
Yeah.
So it was.
Once again, these kind of voicings are really you have your own vocabulary of chord voicings. Like
Yeah, I think this goes back to, watching the guys that I was working with in Mesa Boogie. There was always that talent chord that, you'd dial up an amp and you'd want to impress somebody with how the Mesa Boogie sound. You'd do it,
You play your Alan Holdsworth chords there, right? To
Yes. Yeah, so.
That's really a vocabulary from jazz, though.
I love it.
From jazz, from Brazilian,
Yes.
Jobim, from Brazilian music that you guys incorporated into this heavy rock music.
Yeah, I guess at the time I wasn't really thinking of it, just doing it.
I'd like to take a second to talk to you about this channel. This is actually Rick Beato 2. I've had it since the beginning of my main channel, and many of you are not subscribed. As a matter of fact, 87% of the people that watch this channel regularly are not subscribed. So I encourage you to hit the subscribe button on this channel and on my main channel. This will help me get even more of my dream guests and help continue to grow both channels. Thank you.
But the bass lines, they just go by, you kind of don't think about them, but when you watch you play them, you realize that these are intricate bass parts. How long would it take you to come up with a bass part typically?
I think it's just kind of humming along to the beat, Eric gets a beat, like, hey, play this beat, and then he gets that beat right. And that goes back to like James Brown, listen to James Brown, he just knocked that. Just keep on
Locking it down.
Yeah, locking it down, and that's really, the sum of everyone. What Dean does and what Eric does, and what Eric allows me to do.
I love that you incorporate these things, what an acoustic player, upright bass player would play, where you cross the strings from higher notes down and bounce off the root and the fifth, but between the A string and the E string. I find session players would do stuff like
Yes,
that more.
yes,
You
yes.
didn't find typically meat and potatoes rock players would do that as
Right,
much.
Right. I was always enchanted by it. I just never learned how to play, you know, the whole.
Right.
You know, I always loved that thing because I listened to Ron Carter, you know, Willie Dixon, and all those guys. Those guys raised me too.
Okay, so this second record here, did you guys do this in Atlanta at Southern Tracks?
We did.
Did you do the whole record there?
We did the whole record there. We tracked that record in 11 days. And we did it all live with a PA.
Okay.
So there was PA bleed. Not only just it, you know.
Tell me about the PA. What would the PA be? Would the PA be for the vocals?
Everything. Brendan wanted us to be as live as possible.
Okay.
Like you were on stage.
So would everything be split out and it would go to the console and then go to the PA system?
Yes.
How loud was it in there?
It was pretty loud.
Yeah.
It was pretty loud. I mean, and we were playing live. So
Would he mic the room as well?
I believe he was miking the room. and
Okay.
everything. Yeah, so it was just old school.
And Brendan was working with Nick DeDia
Nick DeDia. who
on all
was
those records, right?
incredible. Nick. Incredible engineer.
Nick's amazing.
Amazing.
You did the entire record in 11 days?
We did. We mixed it, and Brendan mixes 2 songs a day. So
Right.
we had that thing done in 2 weeks. We were in and out. He probably had another band coming in.
Right.
So
he's
"All right,
like,
we gotta
hey
go.
guys,
Yeah.
let's get this
Yeah.
finished up here. This is really amazing because it's all done on tape.
Yeah. But we were prepared. We were prepared to make the next sonic statement. We were. And we came in prepared.
And how did your gear improve between the first record? Because then you guys were you're big
Well, this
superstar band.
This is what happened. We still weren't, we still didn't have enough money to buy the desirables.
Right.
But we got turned on to.
Because you got to wait so long to get paid from
Well,
the.
you're the last person. You're the last person to get paid, folks, when you were in a band. You know, we discovered Midtown music, and you know, it was like, oh, all these.
I
guitars.
love Midtown music.
Yeah, yeah. But Brendan at the time had such a collection. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
going into Southern Tracks.
He had
and-
tons of stuff in Southern
Oh
Tracks.
my Lord.
Yeah.
So that was like a candy store, you know, going in there and going, I've seen one of those, but I never played one. And then when we were picking this stuff up, it was like he had an electric harpsichord, which was used in And So I Know on the third
Oh, yeah.
record. And all these things that,
They had a nice pump organ there. They had
Yes.
the beautiful piano.
yes.
Nice big room, just a single room
Single room.
studio.
Yes.
Well, you had the drum booth that opened up. Would you
Yeah.
guys put the drums in the booth open to the room?
Yes, yes.
And then it had the control room. You had the SSL, but then it had a rack of all the Neves and things like that. I mean, tons of gear in there.
Tons of gear, which was like our playland, you know.